You press enter. About 200 milliseconds later, the page appears. In that blink, your request climbed a global directory, did 2 cryptographic handshakes, crossed an ocean, and a browser rebuilt the entire page from raw text. And here's the part nobody tells you. Almost none of that time was your computer thinking. It was light, physically traveling through glass. So forget the spinner for a second. The thing that decides how fast a page loads usually isn't your laptop, or the server, or your code. It's the speed of light. Follow one request end to end and you'll never read a loading bar the same way. It starts before anything even leaves your machine. The browser takes the URL and pulls it apart. The scheme, HTTPS, the host, the path, the port. Then it checks its own caches. Have I been here? Is this site HTTPS only? Do I already know its address? If not, step 1 is simple. Find the address, because the network doesn't run on names. Example.com means nothing to it. It needs an IP address, a number. Turning the name into the number is DNS, the phone book of the internet. And your browser doesn't have this number memorized. So it asks a resolver. Usually, your ISPs or something like 8.8.8.8. If the resolver hasn't cached the answer, the hunt begins. It asks a root server, who handles .com? Root points it to the .com servers. It asks them, who handles example.com? They point to the site's own authoritative server. That one finally hands back the EAP, 4 levels, resolver, root, TLD, authoritative, a tree that covers every domain on Earth, already anchored by root servers on every continent. When the answer's cached, all of it collapses to nothing. When it isn't, you've already paid for your first round trip. And that phrase is the whole rest of the story. A round trip. Every step from here is a conversation. Your machine says something, then waits for the network to carry it there, then waits again for the answer to come back. There and back. That's one round trip, and it has a hard floor you cannot beat no matter how much you pay. Because the message travels as light through fiber optic glass. And light in glass moves at about 200,000 kilometers a second. 2/3 its speed in a vacuum, dragged down by the glass itself. Fast, not instant. And the planet is very big. New York to London is 5,500 kilometers. The physics says one round trip can't beat about 54 milliseconds. The best cable on Earth does it in 59. There is nothing faster. We are already within a hair of the limit the universe allows. You can't out-engineer the speed of light. So here's the reframe that changes everything. People obsess over bandwidth, megabits, how fat the pipe is. But for loading a page, the cost isn't bandwidth. It's latency, how long the round trip takes. A wider pipe doesn't make light faster, and every single step ahead of us needs at least one more round trip. Okay, we finally have the IP address. Time to connect. But you can't just start talking to a server. TCP, the protocol under almost everything, opens with a handshake. Your machine sends a SYN, let's talk. The server replies SYNACK, I hear you, let's talk. You send an ACK, great. 3 messages, 1 full round trip. Across the Atlantic, that's another 60 milliseconds gone. And we still haven't asked for a single thing on the page. And connecting isn't enough. It has to be private. That little lock in your address bar is TLS, the encryption layer. Before any real data moves, both sides run a second handshake to agree on keys that nobody in between can read. For years, this lock was expensive. TLS 1.2 needed 2 more round trips just to set itself up. On a transatlantic link, that alone was over 100 milliseconds, pure overhead, before 1 byte of the actual website had moved. Then TLS 1.3 cut it to a single round trip. Half the cost, same security. And for a site you've been to before, it added a trick called zero round trip, sending encrypted data immediately with no handshake wait at all. Zero round trip isn't free magic though. That early data can be replayed by an attacker, so it's only safe for requests that don't change anything. A get, not a payment. The spec is blunt about that, but for most ordinary page loads, it's a real, measurable saving. Now look at the pattern. DNS, TCP, TLS. Every layer is a round trip, and every round trip is that same 60 millisecond tax, which is why the entire history of web protocols has one obsession: kill round trips. Combine them, skip them, remember them. And finally, we send the actual request. It's one line, get. the path you wanted, and a stack of headers. Who you are, what you accept, your cookies. It's tiny, a few hundred bytes, after everything it took just to get here. On the far side, the server gets to work, maybe runs some code, hits a database, assembles the HTML. Or, more and more often, your request never reaches the real server at all, because the smartest answer to the speed of light is to not cross the ocean. A CDN keeps copies of the site on machines near you, an edge node maybe 20 miles away instead of 5,000. Same page, a fraction of the round trip. Moving the server closer is the only way to actually beat the distance. The request itself got faster too. HTTP/2 lets many requests share one connection instead of standing in a queue. HTTP/3 goes further. It runs on a protocol called QUIC, which folds the connection and the encryption handshake into one and kills the head of line blocking that used to stall everything when a single packet dropped. The server answers, status 200, a set of headers, and then the payload, the HTML itself. A stream of text and angle brackets starts arriving at your browser. And now the second half of the journey begins, entirely on your own machine, because that HTML is just text. It is not a page yet. The browser has to turn a string of characters into pixel, and it does it in a fixed sequence called the critical rendering path. First it reads the HTML, top to bottom, and builds the DOM, the document object model, a tree of every element on the page. This body holds this div, which holds this paragraph. The whole structure of the document rebuilt as objects. At the same time, it reads a CSS and builds a second tree, the CSSOM. Every rule and selector resolved into plain facts. This element is this color, this size, this font. Then it merges them. DOM plus CSSOM becomes the render tree, only the things you can actually see, each one carrying its styles. Hidden elements get dropped. And this is exactly why CSS is called render blocking. The browser can't draw anything until it has both trees in hand. Next comes layout, sometimes called reflow. The browser does the geometry. Where does every box sit and how big is it in real pixels? A paragraph isn't wide, it's 640 pixels, starting at one exact coordinate. Then paint. The browser fills in the actual pixels, text, colors, borders, shadows, images, onto layers held in memory. Still not on your screen yet, just drawn, waiting. And finally, Composite. The browser hands those layers to the GPU, which stacks them in the right order and draws them to the real screen. That exact moment is when you finally see the page, the end of the journey. And the browser cheats beautifully. It doesn't wait for all of it. It paints whatever it can. As soon as it can, the first pixels often land before the full page has even finished arriving. That's why a good site feels instant, long before it's actually done. So add it all up. URL parse, DNS, TCP, TLS. The request, the response, then parse, layout, paint. Several round trips, 2 cryptographic handshakes, 2 whole trees rebuilt from text, and on a decent connection, the entire thing lands in well under 300 milliseconds, faster than you can react to it. Now, look at where the time actually went. Almost none of it was computation. The CPU work is microseconds. The real cost was the round trips, light crossing distance over and over. The bottleneck was never the machine. It was the map, which is why all of web performance is really one fight, against round trips and against distance. Caching skips the trip. CDNs shorten it. HTTP/3 merges them. Every trick is the same trick underneath. Get the data closer or ask for it fewer times. So the next time a page loads, picture it. A request leaving your machine, finding an address in a global tree, shaking hands twice, racing across an ocean of glass at 2/3 the speed of light, and a browser rebuilding a whole document from raw text. All of it before you finish blinking. It isn't magic, and it isn't your hardware. It's a relay of round trips, bounded by physics, and optimized for 40 years to hide the one thing nobody can fix, the distance. The web feels fast because an enormous amount of work goes into pretending the planet is smaller than it really is. If you'll never see a loading bar the same way again, subscribe. One System's deep dive like this every week. And tell me below, what's the worst latency you've ever had to debug?